Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grip Locked on the road. We are headed to St. Louis, Missouri. I'm your host, Hunter, joined as always by Trevor, who's driving us right now, and Konner. If you're watching on video, hopefully it's not bouncy, but we are on the road, and it's going to be bouncy. So if you get motion sickness, I highly advise that you turn it off.
Just look away.
And you just look away, put us in a different tab, and just listen to us this episode.
Also, if you're listening on audio, I'm sorry if Trevor gets louder and quieter because I'm literally holding my arm out with a mic in front of him while he's driving. So
I feel like you're talking a lot quieter than me.
I am?
Maybe. I don't know. Doesn't matter. All right. Well, this past weekend was the Jonesboro Open, and it was quite the event. We're going to go over some results real quick here, walk you through it, talk through some of the storylines that we noticed. We're not going to do Trevor's trivia because he's driving, so we're going to do... What?
I've got way too much caffeine in my system for this podcast to be organized. Keep going.
And then we're going to do Thomas trivia instead of Trevor's trivia because he's driving.
Yeah, thank goodness.
And then, we'll see where this thing goes. You know, there's no telling. Again, we're on the road. We are midway into Kentucky right now. It just started raining.
The weather's coming in.
This is going to be great. All arrows point to a great podcast, so... Let's get straight into the episode, straight into some results. If you missed the Jonesboro Open, I just realized my inner thigh is just exposed to the camera. If you missed the Jonesboro Open,
that C4 hasn't kicked in yet.
It was pretty exciting. We had a playoff between Calvin Heimberg and Paul Macbeth. Calvin was able to take it down. Paul came in second, and then Kevin Jones, thank you very much, came in third place, meaning Trevor owes me $10. That's basically what that means.
Oh, wow, I forgot about that.
Yeah, we shook on it and everything. So Trevor will be paying me $10 at some point throughout this trip.
He still choked it away. At least if he would have won, I would have looked extra dumb. The fact that he at least choked it, I look a little less dumb, but I did lose. Fair and square.
You did lose.
Fair and square.
So, I mean, it was great to see Kevin back up towards the top again. And on the FPO side, it seems to be a trend where someone just runs away with this event every year.
Yeah.
This year, it was Kristen Tatar's turn. So she won by 10 strokes over Missy Gannon in second, Ella Hansen in third. If you're wondering where the heck Paige and Kat are,
That's funny.
They were in 5th and 7th. Katrina Allen came in 5th at 11 under. Paige came in 7th at 9 under. And Kristen won the tournament at 24 under. So not even close.
It's a beatdown.
Not even close. And we all had Kristen, Paige, Kat in our top 3.
Well, what?
So,
can you blame us, though?
No.
Because, what are we supposed to do?
Yeah, no, you know what?
Was I going to just pick Ella Hansen?
Your feelings are valid.
Nowhere?
Your feelings are valid, man. They were just wrong.
It's insane.
No, you had solid picks. Hey, dude, you had solid picks.
No,
okay, they were just wrong.
No, dude.
So speaking of picks, we got to go into some points here.
Yeah, this is the most competitive part of every tournament is where our points are.
Yeah, so we got to go into some points here. I just have the points totals after the tournament in front of me. I don't actually have where we got points from, but I am now sitting still in the lead with 44 points. Konner cut into my lead a little bit because he did win the dark horse.
What up?
Ben Calloway did beat out Brody Smith and Eric Oakley. He beat Brody by 1. Brody was in position to win it for Trevor.
Ridiculous.
And didn't do so. Ben Calloway took it down, so Konner's in second, 37 points, 7 points behind me. And then Trevor is in third at 29 points, 8 points behind Konner.
I'm right where I want to be.
We do have the Dynamic Discs Open coming up this weekend, so there is some more opportunity for points on the table there. And we'll probably do a preview show. We'll either film it in the hotel or on the ride back. Only issue with the ride back we haven't thought through, guys. It's going to be dark for the parts that we want to record a podcast to pass time.
Why does that matter?
Well,
Video.
The beginning of the ride.
We're shooting it with an iPhone, so you're still gonna be able to see us.
The beginning of the ride's gonna be in daylight. We'll have plenty. We'll have hours of daylight before it gets dark.
Okay.
The phone doesn't care how bright it is outside. It's just gonna look like crap, but you're gonna be able to see us.
The banter though might be in the dark, and that might be on purpose.
Banter after hours.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a backlight.
We just all hold
one
flashlights.
person in the back has a light.
Like we're telling a horror story.
Yeah. Anyways, so
The banter.
some other storylines from this. We talked briefly. We got to still just mention that Kristen Tatar absolutely ran away with this thing. Not really expected by me or anyone for that matter.
No.
She did, though, run away with it. She's been playing very well. Obviously, there was the whole ordeal. We talked about it.
We're going to call it Daughtergate.
When did we talk about it? Did we talk about it on Grip Locked, or I just talked on debate night?
Grip Locked? No, we talked about it Grip Locked because we followed it up with the preview show from last week. We talked about it at the preview show because we talked more about the Elaine situation.
Yeah, you're right.
We had updates.
Right. So
wasn't in the booth. She wasn't in the booth.
She was not in the booth. It was Terry Miller and then Val and Nate Doss. Which, to be honest with you, I think that's probably the best we have right now.
Yeah, they're the A squad.
Terry Miller is a great
Terry's goated
play-by-play commentator. Obviously, he makes mistakes here and there, but everyone will. But overall, I never really have complaints when Terry's in the booth.
No.
I do think they could pair him better with a color commentator. I think there's someone better than Valerie Jenkins and Nate Doss out there for Terry, but he does have decent chemistry with both of them. And that's a crucial part that you can't really teach.
Very crucial.
But whenever there's that team in the booth, you hear a lot less complaints about commentary in general across social media. So if I'm the Pro Tour, I'm rolling with that team for a while. Also, Nate Perkins on course did very well.
He's more agile. Sorry, Terry. And he gets in position like he's there, And it's funny because Terry, you could tell Terry knows how tough it is. So when he would throw it to Perkins, he'd be like, as long as you're in position, can you see it?
I think that's a big part of it.
And Perkins saw it, man. He was there. He's sprinting around that course, man.
That's a big part of it is that Terry
built like a deer.
Terry's typically on the course, so he knew knew what to expect and when to expect stuff from Perkins.
Right.
Versus Ian has never done that side, so he doesn't have the background experience of what to expect from Terry.
Here's the thing: in crunch time, there was a few crucial throw it over to Nate Perkins moments when KJ threw his drive on 18, and we didn't know where that was really.
Yeah.
And then wherever Paul's upshot landed, or his drive landed on the playoff hole, both those times you were kind of I'm not really sure what they're looking at, and you needed to know.
Yeah.
And Perkins was there. I just slapped the mic. and Perkins was there and could give us the feedback. And I was like, okay, that needed to happen. So
yeah. Overall, I thought Nate Perkins did a great job.
Yeah, I mean, that's all it really is. Just
there was nothing really to complain about. There was a few times that I thought it was funny because they threw it to him when Paul's upshot on 16, I think it was, and Paul was in the crap, and they threw it to. I don't know what's going on up there. Y'all are both laughing.
This is the most ridiculous I've ever felt in my life.
Okay,
I just think about whenever we drive past people and I look over and I'm just holding a microphone in front of the driver's face.
No, we're on ham radio is what they're probably thinking.
Okay.
But they threw it to Nate Perkins, and how's it going? And threw it to Nate Perkins, and he had gotten behind Paul's lie, and he was like, yeah, there's nothing. Paul does not have any shot at all out of this. It's probably just going to be a pitch out and then up and down. And then Paul gets in there and finds a sneaky forehand gap and gets up and down for an eagle out of there. And I thought that was a great moment, personally, because, yes, Nate said there's no way out, but I thought that made the shot more impressive because they threw it back to Nate, and they're like, Nate, you told us there's no way out. And he's like, I promise you, I went in there wasn't. I don't know what hole he found. I don't know how he did that, but, I looked at it, and I didn't see a line that I immediately was like, oh, a disc can go through there.
Yeah, I think if you're Nate Perkins there, you got to realize, I mean, and I'm not making an issue with that. That happens all the time when you're on, you're never going to get the perfect view or whatever. But when you're Paul Macbeth and you're on 16 and you really need that eagle probably to keep the pace, you got to know, the guy's going to, if there is a glimpse of light in those trees.
Yeah, he's going to find a way.
So, yeah, you could at least say something, I guess, there's daylight, so he may try to do something aggressive. But, I mean, you can't fault him for that. Whatever.
No, but I liked it.
It makes it more exciting, honestly. You're right. Just hearing from the guy who's, looking at the lie, oh, there's nothing.
Well, also, it was regularly.
Something. That happens a lot.
Yeah, it was also regularly, when they threw it to him, he had looked at the different players' lies and was standing behind there, he has a relatively open putt even though he is in the woods. Or there's not going to be much putt there.
I love that. Shout out Nate Perkins.
So great job from Nate Perkins and the whole commentary team in general.
See, look at us. We can praise the commentary when they're good.
Yeah,
we're not just here to bash the commentators.
No, I thought this weekend, like I said, could stuff have been better? Yeah, but stuff could always be better.
Always.
But I think it was this team in general. The Terry Miller,
They are.
Yeah, they all work together well.
Yeah.
I think that's the best pieces we have together right now.
Squad goals.
And hopefully the Pro Tour notices that and moves forward with it. One of the other storylines from the final round, as soon as I turned coverage on, I turned coverage on. I don't even know what hole they were on. I think the lead car was on like hole 4 or something, maybe earlier in the round. And there's just shots of Eagle McMahon walking off the course.
Brutal.
And I'm like, what is going on? And then the commentary starts talking. And at that time, I don't think they quite knew what was going on. And then they threw it to Nate, and Nate filled him in that Eagle had farther complications with his shoulder, and he had decided to DNF. It was pretty early into his final round. Eagle addressed his fans on his Instagram story and said that when throwing a forehand, his shoulder popped out again.
He tried the forehand, man.
Now, what that exactly means, how much it popped out, all of that, I don't know, but popping out a second time, pretty bad sign overall. He did also seem pretty confident that he has a rehab and correctional plan, if you'll call it that starts up in May, that he feels will help him get back to 100%. And obviously that's what we all want. We don't want to see 50% Eagle out there. We want to see 100% Eagle out there. So I would be surprised if he's back by the end of the season, though.
I think he's done. Yeah, it's a real bummer, and it's scary. That kind of shoulder issue, and you've essentially re-injured it, came back a little too soon, perhaps did a little too much. That's no good. And you see, when throwing sports, man, you can't mess around with that stuff. You got to know when to shut it down and just call it. Because the most common example of this is in baseball, seeing professional pitchers. This stuff happens all the time. I think he should definitely call it quits for the season. And strengthen that arm up, but man, that would really stink. This could really just change the course of his career. If he's got something to where his arm will never be back to 100%, stuff can happen. That would stink because Eagle is obviously super. I miss having him in the conversation. We only have so many guys right now. It's getting better, but there's only so many guys that can beat a Paul Macbeth or a Ricky on their best day.
Yeah.
Because right now, there's really maybe 2 or 3 guys that can even do that. And Eagle was one of them. So we lose him, and we just lose a lot of parity towards the top of the field. So it's definitely a bummer.
Yeah, and
we're really missing the Crush Boys right now. That is a sad time to be alive.
Well, Simon's coming back.
He's kind of back,
yeah.
I guess.
He did replace Eagle in the Skins match that's happening tomorrow.
Yeah.
Actually, in St. Louis. We're not going to be at it. You might be saying, why the heck are you going to St. Louis and not going to the Skins match? Because we're going to get more content.
Because we got things to do.
Dude, there's not even cow. That's a golf course. There's no cows out there.
There's a cow pasture.
That's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Do you grow up?
Anyways, we aren't even going to explain that game. We're not even getting into that. What I think the other part of this situation as well is that's the worst part in my head is one of the biggest advantages the Eagle had was his forehand and his backhand had almost gotten to the same level. Yeah. In terms of to the field. I
know he was just kind of getting to he was really just hitting his stride. That is a bummer. Because his mental game was starting to catch up too. He was really starting to dominate. So yeah, that does stink. Well, that's a huge setback.
Because it brings up will Eagle's forehand ever truly be 100% again?
God, man,
that's a tough thing with a shoulder injury.
I don't know, yeah.
You can rehab it. You can have surgery. There's a lot of different options, but getting it back to 100% with how much torque resistance is needed to throw how far he was throwing with his forehands, that could be something that changes the whole course of our sport in a lot of ways, because Eagle was one of the guys that was pushing the boundaries of course design and stuff with forehand and backhand. If the course wasn't, if it was a somewhat open course and you couldn't really design holes long enough to not be attackable by a guy like Eagle, and taking him out of the field, it's going to definitely be noticeable the rest of the season, but hopefully it's just the rest of the season.
It's crazy to say, but Eagle is one of the few guys who can throw an actually usable lefty backhand.
Yeah.
To the point where certainly if he has a wide open lefty hyzer, he can throw that shot, and I wonder if his case could be the first kind of scenario where we see a player really try and develop that lefty backhand, not because they can't throw the forehand, but because they physically can't throw the forehand. or at least as far as they once could.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
I just have a hard time seeing that working. I
think for like open shots where there's a little bit, I agree. Like, there's no way that this guy's just gonna learn a lefty shot that he can walk up into a tight wooded hole and throw some kind of hyzer flip. Like, yeah, no way. But I do think somebody who's really arm talented like that, and we've already seen him throw crazy lefty shots, could get to the point where they can step up to a wide open shot that would require forehand and develop a lefty backhand shot that's usable and you're confident in for those kind of situations. I don't think that's outside the realm of possibility. Certainly would be crazy, like to be able to get it to the point where you're confident in using it in competition. Like, that would be remarkable.
Yeah, no, it definitely is going to be an interesting development and something that, hopefully it's just a story this year, and then hopefully next year the story is Eagles back, and then Eagles back at 100%, and we don't even think about it ever again. But, there's obviously a lot of questions up in the air, and really we hope he figures out the best road to recovery to get him back as soon as possible, but as healthy as possible, which I think is the key.
Yeah.
Is you don't want to rush back and be out there at 50%.
Most definitely.
Another huge storyline. I don't know if it's a huge storyline, but it should. I think it's at least going to be talked about a lot. Is Paul Macbeth?
Oh, this is pretty big.
Had two different instances. We'll talk through both of them.
Yeah.
That cost him in different ways during the final round. The first one, in my opinion, we kind of knew this first storyline was going to happen at some point. It might have already happened to people that weren't on coverage. This was the first time I saw it on coverage, and it happened to be against Paul. So I believe it was hole 5. It's this like close to 400, maybe over 400-foot island hole.
Tough hole, very tough.
Very tough hole. There is like you could lay up and then go across. That's what everyone else decided to do. Paul was pushing, pedal to the floor, pedal to the metal, and he decided to go for it. And so he throws what looks like a beautiful shot, perfect line, flips up everything, gets a little right turns, coming back in onto the island, skips up, looks like it's going to be parked.
Skip too. Pretty soft skip.
Some good ground action, skips up, and then skips into what everyone's called like the trash can, the garbage can things they have around the bottom of these baskets that are like
they weren't calling it before, they are now.
Yeah, they're for like the advertising. They replaced the foam ones with these plastic like trash can material type ones, and skips into that and literally like gets launched backwards, like it almost accelerates and then rolls OB back like 50, 60 feet or so, forcing Paul to have to go to the drop zone and then play out and take a 4.
I mean, Hunter explained this to Trevor and I like a few hours ago whenever we first got in the car, and he said it and he was like, I don't know, like it definitely could have happened if it hit the pole, but it definitely felt like it came off with a lot of steam. So Trevor and I looked it up and watched it, and Hunter undersold it. It launched off this thing. Like, it could not happen from hitting the pole of the basket.
I mean,
like, it was a trampoline.
A rollaway could happen.
But not with that much velocity.
And, like, so what I meant was, like, the shot and the result could have still happened.
Yeah.
Like, it could have still skipped in the pole. It could have still rolled OB. But the roll was definitely influenced negatively by that trash can on the bottom of the basket.
Those trash cans, like, you know what they're like. It's just like they have give. So, like, they're going to spring something off of them. And here's the other problem is you have changed the sport completely when you add a base to the bottom of the basket that's that size, because you're adding so much more area for the disc to hit. Even when you just put the foam padding on, it's still a lot smaller area, probably at least the width of a disc all the way around, to where that shot might not even touch the pole. It might have just harmlessly skipped to 5 feet past the basket for a tap-in putt. When you add that to the basket, you're changing a lot about the game, because you're just adding a bigger target for your disc to hit into. And I have a hard time thinking that, like, when you hit the pole on a shot, it's pretty dead typically. It's hard enough that it doesn't give, so like the disc will flex into the pole, so it might kick off a little bit, but I don't remember ever really hitting the pole and not being parked. But with these trash cans, I have a hard time believing that you're ever going to hit them with any kind of velocity and not have them want to spring off of them to some degree. Like, we knew this, though. Like, we talked about it as soon as it came up. As soon as we saw these things, we're like, well, that's not good.
Yeah,
and here we are.
The biggest counter argument I've seen on Twitter and on social media in general, and they make a fair point, but
Let's hear it.
I do want to bring up a counter argument against their counter argument. Their counter argument was essentially like it didn't screw Paul out of the win because, and I'm not going to say it screwed Paul out of the win. I wouldn't go that far. I do think it's unfair, but their argument was it didn't screw Paul out of the win because everyone had to play on the same conditions.
Yeah.
Now,
no, I don't.
Here's my counter argument.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, everyone had to play on the same conditions, but I look at this very similarly as I look at the 2-meter rule because it's not predictable.
Right.
So if it's that big and it's predictable and it's just like a bigger area someone could hit, sure. But the issue is someone could hit it, and if they hit it on a slightly different angle or whatever, then it might not roll back. But it has a bigger tendency to roll back and roll away. But it's changing how the game has been played a little bit, and it's also a little more gimmicky. So, like, 2-meter rule, the whole thing I hate about it is one person could throw a shot, it hit the tree, fall straight down. The next person throws the same shot, it hits the tree stuck up, and now they are given a penalty stroke. And that's essentially what happened here in my eyes, is one person could throw a shot, hit it on, like, a slightly less hyzer or something, and it just, like, flop all the way over, or hit it harder possibly and dent the thing, and it doesn't bounce off. And then the next person throws a shot, and it hits it, and it gets thrown back, and it rolls OB. I think it just adds this like unnecessary randomness to a shot like that, and it's also something that's very controllable because we added it to the course,
right? And
so it's not like something where, oh man, well you hit that branch, one person hits it, it goes through, one person doesn't, it stays, whatever. This, it's like we can control it. We can just make it completely out of foam, so if something hits it, it sticks, or change it up completely. I don't know.
Here's the thing. When you play a sport that already has so much randomness involved, like, for instance, baskets that just kind of sometimes decide what they're going to do with the disc, like, you have to, like you're saying, you have to, everything that you can control, you need to.
Yeah.
In order to make this, because you want when you are, like I said, when you're dealing with a sport like this, when there's random stuff, as a tour, you want the least amount of potential for a round, a tournament, whatever, to be decided by something that the fans could argue was a little bit lucky or gimmicky.
What is this car in front of us?
I don't know.
That's the coolest I've ever seen.
You want the least amount of that possible, and I think that, like, getting fired up about this whole scenario, regardless of the Paul thing, forget about screwing Paul out of the win. This is more so like
it could
getting fired up at the tour. Like, let's
it could
fix
screw
this.
multiple people throughout the whole round.
I'm not going to sit here.
Paul.
I'm not going to sit here and like get super worked up over the Paul situation.
Yeah,
could have happened to anybody. That's why I'm like, okay, let's fix this, because it's as simple as go back to the way it was.
Well, it's also something where,
and it wasn't that big of an investment to buy 18 trash cans.
Yeah, and I don't even think they bought 18 because it's not on every hole.
Right.
But it's also something like, well, I am fascinated. I think we're driving behind a boat.
Got to get around this. It looks like literally like an old airplane cockpit on tires.
It's either that or a boat.
I'm gonna try and get around.
What is this?
Middle lane next to me is.
This is incredible.
NASCAR.
But it's definitely something that I think needs to be looked at more. It's a tough situation because they just introduced it, so they like. Surely they thought through some of this, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then still decided to move forward with it. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
I believe this is a Civic. I think this is a
Civic. Aerocivic.com.
Oh, it is a Civic.
Look up, somebody needs to go to
Aerocivic.com. I'll look that up real quick.
Banter, bro.
The secondary thing Paul actually drew attention to, which was during the playoff, the hole 1 tee pad.
Toey didn't notice this until he posted it.
No, like I had no idea this was even a thing. But if you were watching the playoff, you can find pictures of the car we just passed. Aerocivic.com. His improved mileage has saved him over $5,000 in 2011 in gasoline.
Wow.
Well, I mean, heck yeah.
He's traveled 184,000 miles in that thing. Wow. That's 2011.
That's awesome.
This guy first studied 1930 German cars. Fascinating. He hasn't updated this website since 2011.
Oh, okay.
So
we're still out there.
It's still out there.
Shout out to Aerocivic.
Shout out Aerocivic. He's gonna be like, why the heck's my website getting so much traffic out of nowhere?
T-pad.
He didn't know that someone was driving by recording a podcast. So the T-pad on hole 1. So they're in the playoff. Calvin versus Paul. Paul has been pretty dialed on this shot all tournament, realistically. And even to start the round, Paul was 3 under through 3 on the final day. Calvin was even through 3.
Yeah.
But they're both very capable of throwing this shot. Paul steps up first, and on coverage you can't see anything that happened, but his shot comes out high early left.
Well,
and just
you
hyzes into the
could
woods.
see on coverage, but nobody was paying attention.
No. Like when I was watching, I didn't see it at all.
Right,
No one said
you would have missed it.
It was just like, oh my word, that was an awful shot from Paul.
Yeah.
Very surprising. Calvin steps up, pures it, puts it to like 2 feet. Literally, I think it was like 3 feet.
Yeah.
And
money.
so then Paul had to throw in. He didn't. Calvin taps out. Win. Boom.
Boom.
Paul, when he posted, though, showed a clip of him slipping on the tee pad, but not just like slipping like his foot slipped. The whole tee pad slid with him and like crunched up in the front.
Basically, the tee
it like gave out.
Yeah, basically, yeah. He planted his front foot and the tee pad gave. So, like.
Now,
I
this
mean,
one, personally.
That's no good.
This one's obviously inexcusable from the tournament and the Pro Tour's perspective. But when it comes to everyone played on the same thing, this one I understand that argument a little bit more.
Right, because this one, like, it only happened to one
Calvin,
person.
Well, no, like, what?
Well, like, did it happen to anybody else? That's what I'm saying. This one is even more unfair. Because like the trash can was a controllable thing because like it was going to stay the same the whole tournament. This tee pad kicked up at one moment, so like that's.
But Calvin threw on it literally seconds later.
After he saw Paul slip on it, though.
If he saw Paul slip, but everyone been throwing on it.
I mean, Paul did turn around and look straight at it and started talking about the tee pad when he looked back at the coverage. So he definitely knew.
I
think this is more of a bummer than the trash can thing.
I feel like I'm not going to say either screwed Paul out of the victory because it is true that everyone had to play in the same conditions, and I'm also not going to say anything that takes this win away from Calvin because Calvin did step up with bad footing and do it, and it's not like it got progressively worse since they played it last because they're the last group to go through.
No, I'm not gonna sit here and say like, oh, the tournament was taken from Paul's hands. Super bummer. What I'm gonna say though is,
if I was Paul, I'd be pissed.
Very unfortunate and like awful look.
Yes.
For that course because
I'll agree with that. Yeah.
There is enough reason to believe that tee pad may have cost him that hole and the tournament. Like so.
Yeah.
That's bad.
And you now have the player who lost in the tournament, whether you agree with him posting about it or not, posting on his story,
right,
or on his main Instagram page to 100-some thousand followers saying like, look at this tee pad.
And like the disc side of heaven, like they kind of have a reputation,
a good reputation,
a good one. That's what I'm saying. Like that's a blotch on their.
There was also hole 14, I believe it was in round 2.
Yeah, caved in.
It had like basically a hole in the tee pad that the players were running up on. So
yeah, man.
I don't know exactly how it needs to be addressed. Because at the end of the day, this falls on the Pro Tour. It does fall on the local scene, sure, but it's on the Pro Tour to appear to a certain standard week in and week out.
Here's what I think needs to happen because disc golf is in dire need of some kind of standard for tee pads because, like, if you think about it, like in golf, the tee box is a lot more simple, but there's a standard, right? Like you want them to be level and mowed short. Like you want there to be a certain upkeeping with that. And I think what needs to happen is the Pro Tour needs to establish their standards for what is the premier tee pad that is like preferred by the players. So I think the players should weigh in on that. And they should decide, okay, this is the tee pad that we want for our courses. Maybe give it a time window for it to be implemented. Maybe it doesn't need to be cracked down right away, but at least set that standard. Because what happens is, if you set that standard, and now everybody in disc golf knows what the best tee pad is, as stated by the Pro Tour, whenever somebody goes to put in a new course and they've got funding, what are they going to try and do? They're going to try and put in that level tee pad. And then what will happen is, we'll slowly but surely have a consistency in tee pads because there'll be a standard. Right now, nobody really knows what it is.
It's so hard to find the perfect tee pad though, because it seems like a lot of players prefer turf.
Yeah.
And that's great and all, except for what we just saw, because turf.
Well, right, it just has to be held to a certain standard.
But because turf will also degrade over time.
Yeah,
and it gets looser.
Right.
The gravel underneath can get packed down in different ways. We had a course.
Turf requires
locally.
maintenance. That's the thing that people don't understand is like, when you see a football field that's turf, not only are they replacing that turf after a while, but they're also going to rake the pellets that are in the turf to keep them evenly distributed. They'll replace those from time to time. Like there's maintenance that goes with turf, to where I don't know how I feel. Like turf tee pads, that's heavy maintenance. The concrete ones are definitely, I think,
Concrete's
easier to do.
But they do get slick at times.
Right.
Which is
I
the
think
biggest downside.
I think the textured concrete is my favorite tee pad.
I would agree, but I've heard several players disagree with me.
Those will chew up your shoes, though, so there's that downside.
Chewing up your shoes is one thing. Actually, because chewing up your shoes, then the player knows, okay, every however many rounds, I need new shoes, whatever.
Right. Maybe.
But at least that's something that, the Pro Tour isn't directly responsible for. You know what I'm saying?
The first step is dimensions, right? The dimensions need to be standardized first because that's the easiest one.
Yeah.
And then after that, maybe what the Pro Tour does is just does a list of approved materials for the tee pads. So they don't have to be this or that, but there's a list and it needs to fall under that list.
Well, the hard part is these tee pads would have fallen in that list because they were
right.
turf.
Well, then maybe the next step after that is when those tour guys go out there before an event, they need to be inspected closer, I guess.
Yeah.
And then if they're not, maybe
it's just tough.
I think it's tough when the turnaround for these events is so fast because probably what needs to happen is a month in advance or with time. We need to know if the tee pads or whatever is up to standard, so that there's still time to change things if they're not.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's really hard to regulate stuff like that because it has to do with budgets, and these courses, a lot of them still are not private courses. A lot of these courses aren't paying to host these events. They're not bidding on them yet. So it's just a different dynamic right now. But it's a pressing issue. We gotta get this stuff down.
Yeah, if it was up to me, I personally love the textured concrete the most. I've never really had many issues with it. I've had issues with turf. The other thing that I've had issues with turf is in some parks, like you were saying, they're not private. They can be mowed over and chewed up at times because they just look like part of the grass. And like I said, there is decay and stuff to be factored in when it comes to turf. It can get looser, it can get stretched out with use and stuff like that.
The only way you're going to do turf well is if you
concrete's just not going to happen.
Yeah, you got to be committed to maintenance.
Yeah.
I think a good textured concrete to where you're literally putting some kind of ridges in it or just using a very grainy concrete. I've played on, let me put it this way. I've played on tee pads with textured concrete that it does not matter how wet it gets, they are going to have grip to them.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same way that they make, whenever you make concrete steps, right. After you finish smoothing out the cement, you brush it with a brush that gives it that texture.
Yeah.
There's definitely a way to do it.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's definitely an interesting thing, and it'll be interesting to see what comes of both of those factors. I think if the trash can incident would have happened during the playoff, it would have been people would be much louder about it than it happened whole final round and Paul still made it to the playoff. So
anywhere down the stretch, it would have been
it would have been a lot more heat brought on it. But if I'm the Pro Tour, I'm kind of taking that as a blessing because it gives me a chance to fix it without people getting super riled up about it because it could happen down the stretch of a tournament.
Yeah, no, the Pro Tour is typically pretty good with this kind of thing. I don't know if the tee pad thing's going to happen right away. I think they're probably just, it was kind of a freak incident.
Well, it seems like the Pro Tour, from what I've heard, their next focus is on regulating and standardizing baskets.
Right.
Which is obviously something else that needs to happen.
Yeah.
But if they're regulating and standardizing baskets, you'd imagine that eventually they'll get to tee pads as well.
I bet
that's stuff that all just needs to be regulated.
I would not be surprised if the trash cans were gone pretty quick. The problem is that they've sold advertising on those trash cans.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to make a decision. Now, I'd imagine it's as simple as this. Hey, we will go ahead and throw up a sign somewhere else or give you an equal value somewhere else in the marketing for that or refund or whatever. But I don't know.
I'm going to be more rigid, either more rigid or more squishy material.
Or
squishy material might work worse.
Just go back to what they had. The pole wrap.
They still have some of those out there.
Yeah, the pole wraps, I thought they looked good. They looked professional. They didn't interfere. These just don't even look good. They look like trash cans. They don't look nice at all.
Yeah.
I good riddance. Get them out of here.
All right, it's time for
literally trash cans. What are you doing?
First ever segment.
People walking through the park and me throwing away their lunch.
the new fan favorite segment. Sorry, Trevor.
Dang it, dude.
Thomas Trivia. It's only going to happen once. Konner's dying up there.
Take the mic away whenever I'm not talking.
All right, I gotta give my hand a break.
Well, this is gonna
holding this mic.
Here's what we'll do. I'll have it go back and forth between both of you.
I need like I'm just gonna have like 20-second break. You're good.
Okay. So we're gonna call this. I don't have a name. My segment sucks compared to Trevor's. I don't know who I'm kidding. Basically, I'm gonna read you a player's percent chance of beating 3 other players.
Ooh.
And you need to guess the player I'm talking about. So it's like Guess That Player, but using the UDisc World Rankings, you can do the compare thing.
That's fun.
And so I'm going to compare players. I'll tell you who they're being compared to and their percent chance of beating them. And based on the 3 players I'll pick, you tell me who they are. So to explain kind of how it's going to work. No, I wasn't planning on it, but if y'all want to, you can.
All right, Trevor.
I feel like y'all go head to head.
Right,
so this player is Ricky Wysocki, but I'm just doing this so you can understand how it's going to be given to you.
All right.
So I would say this player has a 54.5% chance to beat Calvin Heimberg. They have a 51% chance of beating Chris Dickerson. And they have a 70% chance of beating Matty O. And the right answer would be Ricky Wysocki.
This is going to be so hard.
Best of luck.
No, it's a good game.
I didn't think this game through very much. It just seemed fun.
No, it's a
All
great
right.
idea for a game. It's just going to be hard.
Here we go. Player number 1.
Is that me? Or is that Trevor?
Y'all are both gonna give me your
player
answer.
Number 1. You're talking about disc golf player.
Disc golf player number 1. I'm gonna hear both of your answers, and then I'll tell who it is.
All right.
Player number 1 has a 52.5% chance of beating Gannon Burr.
Okay.
They have a 31% chance of beating Calvin Heimberg. And they have a 53% chance of beating Kyle Klein. Who is this player?
Okay, I think I've got... Oh.
Let me know when y'all have a guess.
It was a 53% chance of beating Calvin Heimberg? Or
Kyle Klein.
Kyle Klein, and then who was before that?
We had a 52% chance of Gannon Burr.
Yeah.
I believe I gave y'all Calvin Heimberg, correct?
Yeah, 30-something% chance.
31% chance of Calvin Heimberg.
So worse than Calvin Heimberg, better than, or a little bit better than.
Better than Gannon Burr and Kyle Klein.
That's tough. It's not tough. There's a lot of people I feel like there's a lot of people in between there.
Are you ready, Konner?
No.
Trevor's ready.
Oh, good.
My guess is Kevin Jones.
Kevin Jones? Konner?
That was gonna be my guess, but I feel like Gannon's been doing better than Kevin Jones at some recent things.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with Calvin Heimberg. So worse than Calvin Heimberg. I'm gonna go with. I'm having a hard time with this.
Just throw a name out there. 5, 4, 3.
I'm gonna go
2,
with
1.
Chris
Answer.
Dickerson.
Chris Dickerson. No. Both are incorrect.
Okay.
It was Drew Gibson.
Drew Gibson. Oh, that was definitely
next.
the name. Yeah.
Right next. So he's ranked 7th in the world. Kevin Jones is ranked 8th in the world.
Dang.
So it had to be one of those two.
All right, we are now switching over to FPO for the second one.
I knew it was one of those two.
All right.
Pick Kevin Jones.
This person has a 40% chance of beating Paige Pierce. She has a 65% chance of beating Valerie Mandujano, and she has a 63% chance of beating Haley King.
I know exactly
who is this person.
Missy Gannon.
Missy Gannon?
I was gonna say Katrina Allen.
Katrina Allen. The answer is Katrina Allen. Konner Kennedy with a point in the game that's impossible to get a point.
I'll embarrass myself on the rest of these. I got 1 point.
Back to me. Where's Paige Pierce at in the world rankings?
Number 1.
Well, that's right. I guess she won. So that probably. I forgot that she won. I thought she was lower still. Good guess. All
right, we're gonna go with one more, and if Trevor gets it right, we'll have a bonus round for the win.
Okay. I need that.
All right, this person
Driving in a tornado
has a 56% chance of beating Mason Ford. they have a 41% chance of beating Drew Gibson. And they have a 48% chance of beating James Conrad. Who is this person?
Simon Lizotte.
Okay.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a great guess.
I'm going to go with... Is Eagle in this? Even though he's injured?
Eagle is in this. Well...
All right, it's not Eagle.
Yeah, sorry. Eagle's not in this, apparently.
Oh, they yank him from the...
Oh, no, there he is. Okay, sorry. No.
Okay,
yeah,
I was just
it's
wondering
not him.
because... Okay.
Well, I thought... I said yes, then I scrolled up and I was like, oh, wait, his name's literally not on the list.
I'm going to go with Casey White.
Casey White. Y'all are both incorrect. Trevor's been on the money without guessing right.
I'm
this
one
person
off
was
every time,
Nico Lacastro. Simon Lizotte was 2 off of him. Very close, though.
Like 44.
Yeah, Casey White's
You're
pretty
right.
far down.
You're right. Where's Mason Ford?
we're both wrong.
Mason Ford is in the top 20. 19th,
Dang, Mason.
19th in the world
Team
right
Foundation, what up?
now. So, there you have it. That was the first Thomas trivia. Konner is the first winner.
That was honestly a really fun game.
That was a good time.
That was a good time.
All right, well, that's all the notes I have because the rest of this trip I figured we would just talk about our trip that we're on.
I'm eating Oreos. They're golden.
Trevor's eating Oreos.
Not
so,
real Oreos.
Little update on what's going down here. We are currently
We're like an hour out from
in
Paradise.
Kentucky. We are an hour out from a store in Indiana. It's called Disc Crazy, I believe.
I'm pretty excited.
We're just dropping in.
Well, yeah. I mean, why would they?
We're just going to a store.
We're just gonna pop into a store, check out their used section, stretch our legs a little bit, and then from there, I think we'll be about 4 hours out of St. Louis. Yeah, that truck's pretty sick.
The heck is a sick truck.
We'll be about 4 hours out of St. Louis. Tonight, we get to tour the Gateway Factory.
That is going to be so cool.
I don't think I've ever been more excited for something in disc golf in my life, if I'm being completely honest with you. From
People
what I
don't,
understand, we get to see the injection machines. I don't know if they'll be running.
It is so weird that like disc golf factories are kind of a secret. It's like every single one of them is Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Nobody really goes in them and sees this stuff.
I've heard multiple times that like Innova, I'm pretty sure like even their tour players don't really get to go see the machines running in the molds.
Yeah, it's
Discraft,
rare.
I'm
We're
pretty
about
sure,
to know
like,
how they make those illusions. So
Discraft, I'm pretty sure only like the high ups on the team get to go. Like a lot of people get to go to the factory.
Are you okay? You getting emotional?
You're good.
To the factory, but not a lot of people get to see the disc being made. And these big companies.
We're making them. We're taking the night shift.
No, we don't
that
do
would have been
that.
a really funny video.
That would have
we
been
work,
funny.
We work a night shift at Gateway.
That would have been hilarious.
It's still arranged.
But no, Gateway,
I want to run the machine.
they're literally letting us see it all.
That's gonna be electric.
I'm stoked. I don't know how much we're gonna be able to film. We're gonna film some on our behind the scenes vlog that's going down on our Patreon.
Patreons.
So they'll get a much more in depth on the vlog. But we're gonna get some B-roll stuff that's gonna be used in our Bogey Bro Battles intros of us just like in the factory, walking around. I don't know what all we're gonna get to do or see or anything.
We're gonna see things that we weren't supposed to see.
But
for sure.
I cannot express to you how excited I am for that.
My hope is that I can get my hands on just the most ridiculous, rare wizard there is, because I like wizards and
What
I
you
use
really
them.
need to do,
That's what I'm
Konner.
saying is like I want to get a disc that you're not like nobody else gets.
What you really need to do,
right?
Konner,
That's what I want.
is you need to get permission to stamp a wizard stamp on a flippy putter.
Oh,
So then you can actually have a putter from Gateway that flips.
That's a great
and it's
idea.
stamped wizard, since you can't seem to find one.
For everybody that knows, I've got like 15 wizards, and I'm just on the search for one that'll flip. And they stay stable for a long. I've got ones that look like they're from the 90s.
Just get it on a Magic. That is the cool. Like, okay, for those of you who aren't like old school disc golf, and I'm not even that old school disc golf, but like back in the era that I started watching disc golf, like the coolest thing you could have was a disc that had the wrong stamp on it,
Yeah.
and not like a misprint,
No.
but like purposely stamped. Like Will Schustrick used to putt with these KC AVRs that had the Pro Destroyer stamp on it. And that was like the coolest thing ever. So I feel like our number one goal should be to get like some discs that we like and ask if we can get the wrong stamp on them.
Or still, to this day, the coolest disc of all time to me is a McPro AVR Stamp Destroyer.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It just.
Well, Paul used to have
It's
that.
different.
He had a Firebird, I think it was. It was stamped as a Champ Eagle, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
That is just cool.
Like stuff like that. You just never see anymore
We
in
don't
pros
make the
bags.
rules, man.
Because when you
follow
think
them.
about it, it doesn't really make sense. Because like, what?
I just don't know why Trevor says the things that he says.
I don't even know what he said.
He said, we don't make the rules. We just follow them.
Oh.
True.
From like a
My eyeballs
company
hurt.
and players perspective, it obviously makes sense for them to throw what's actually stamped, because like unless there's a disc that's not moving.
Oh yeah, no, it made no sense marketing wise.
Yeah, because Paul's throwing
that's
a
not the
eagle
point,
and it's
though.
like the most stable thing you've ever seen, and then players go out and buy an eagle and they're like, I mean, it's stable.
Yeah.
That's
It
not
was
what I saw Paul throwing.
Pretty dumb. I feel like back in the day though, like, well, I mean, they're in the bags were popular, but I feel like there's a lot more transparency as to like what guys are throwing these days.
There's
like,
a lot more promotion going on.
Yeah, like back then, I don't know. It was kind of always, you never really knew exactly. Like you'd see they're in the bag maybe once a year, but then it's kind of mysterious as to what was in their bag. And like a lot of time, I feel like a lot of times in the bags, like this happened then and it still happens now, to where manufacturers kind of want you to put certain discs in your bag.
Yeah.
So that they can
So
sell
you can promote them.
Right, exactly. Because there are some guys that like I know what's in their bag, and I've seen their in the bags on YouTube. And I'm like, that's not true at all.
Yeah.
Like, but no kidding. Nobody wants to see that you throw like a random beat up Challenger SS. Like they're trying to sell Lunas out here.
Yeah.
My conspiracy theory is that I'm pretty sure that
Yeah, I know. I'll answer it later.
I'm pretty sure that Nate Sexton was told you have to put this star line in your bag so that we can advertise it. Because I saw him throw it one time. Wait, really?
He throws like no mids.
Well, yeah, he just doesn't really throw mids. But I remember one time on coverage, it just showed up, and it was the only time he threw it this whole round. He's like, "Yep, I'm actually bringing out my my Star Lion here. It's a really great disc, very straight." And then he throws it directly into the ground, like 50 feet in front of him. He's like, "Not a very good throw."
Yeah, I mean, it definitely happens. But yeah, the misstamped stuff, I've always had a soft spot for that. I think if I had the connections, like if I worked at a factory or whatever to where I had access to the hot stamp machines and all the stamps, I would never ever have anything correctly stamped, and
No.
I would try and
All of my
go
stamps
across
would at least be double
manufacturers if I
stamped
could.
too. Like I would
Oh,
double
yeah.
and triple stamp the heck out
Like
of stuff.
I pride myself on trying to have a bag to where everything in there, you're kind of like, now how do you get his hands on that? You know, like I don't want stock stuff. That's boring.
Oh, have you? But if you want cool, really cool stock stuff, you can go to foundationdisc.com. Trevor, come on, man.
I don't. Well, here's the
I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
dude. Now keep that mic away from him, man.
I don't
He's
mind.
causing more damage than he's worth.
Let me be clear. I don't mind stock molds as long as they have a cool stamp, and we've got cool stamps at foundationdisc.com.
One thing that
I like them apples, huh?
I like him.
I like them a lot.
Okay.
I forget. I was gonna say something about it. Oh! Have you one disc that I love that I think is very cool? Have you guys seen the Savant stamped Thunderbirds?
Yes.
And
they like crossed him out and wrote Thunderbird.
Yes, they're so cool.
Oh, because they did that on accident and then made it a limited thing.
Yeah,
right?
they accidentally stamped them and
Genius,
turned into limited
genius.
things.
We got one time I was at a local store in like Matthews area, North Carolina, like near my parents' house, and Cloud9, the place
Oh,
I
you're
talk
from
about all
North
the time.
Carolina?
No, I'm not.
Oh.
But I live in the moment. My parents live in North Carolina.
That's fun.
But you know, I talk about Cloud9 all the time.
Yeah.
Well, in there was a bunch of those like misprint Savant stamp Thunderbirds, and they're so cool.
How'd you get any?
My friend Matt Perry did,
Why didn't
That's
you
pretty
get
cool.
any?
because I didn't throw Thunderbirds.
Here's the thing. Oh my! One of the first tournaments I ever played.
It's raining.
I
The
got
windshield wipers on this thing are awful.
I got a Savant. And we're gonna.
It's all
die.
funny till we die.
I got a Savant in a player's pack, and like it's a great disc.
Yeah, it's like a beat-in Thunderbird.
It's a beat-in Thunderbird,
Okay.
literally,
Yeah, it's
and
incredible.
it's a phenomenal disc. Innova like comes out with these amazing molds, but they're ruined by their stigma of like only throwing like 4 different molds if you're cool, and it kind of like so a lot of their cool molds get overlooked.
Yeah. The other thing that we're doing on this trip, it's going to be pretty fun, pretty exciting, is we finally get to check out, well, I say finally, like we've tried to do it a bunch. We get to check out Eagles Crossing. So there's a skins match going down there tomorrow. We talked about it a little bit. Simon, Brody, Scott Stokely, and Calvin Heimberg are playing in it. A high dollar skins match. I think they're advertising it as like the most money ever in a skins match.
How much is in there?
A lot.
Okay.
I honestly have no idea.
I feel like wasn't it like
I think they're playing
10?
like $1,000 a hole.
Oh,
That'd
yeah.
be 18 though. Is that right? I'm gonna try to find this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to find this bad boy.
$1,000 a hole. That's
so they're
pretty
playing
legit.
there tomorrow.
That
and then
seems pricey.
we get to do a Bogey Bro battle there on Wednesday. And apparently this course is claimed to put, I want to say like $1.5 million into this property.
I've got wild expectations for Eagles Crossing.
I am
wild. Like it better blow me away.
I am very fascinated.
I'm gonna give it a 3.5 on UDisc and just let everybody attack me.
Don't do that.
See, even Hunter's gonna do it, man.
They've sold 100. So here's
if
an
it's
idea.
only a 3.5, it's only a 3.5.
They've sold 118 spectator passes at $200 a piece.
Oh, there's something we didn't talk about, by the way, was the gallery at Jonesboro. When they pulled out the drone shot on 18, it looked like there's like 50 people there.
Oh yeah, because there's no tickets.
Like, what are we doing? But
they've sold 118 spectator passes at $200 a piece.
Yeah, that's no wonder they're
That's
paying.
over $20,000.
No wonder they're paying for 18 grand.
Holy
for these things,
frick!
Man. The skins matches, man.
Prize
those things are
pools
cash cows.
Prize pool's guaranteed to be at least $11,800, but we anticipate additional money will be added. I would imagine.
It's brilliant because it's like, yeah, let's just throw an all-star game every week. Like, yeah.
Wild. So we get to play that course on Wednesday is the plan.
Yeah, ours is going to be the real skins match.
For our Bogey Bro battle, which is super exciting, obviously. So none of us have... Let me make sure this statement's true. We haven't watched footage of this course, right?
No. I just looked at some UDisc pictures, and here's what let me give you my way too early predictions.
Give me some predictions.
Looking at the pictures, I'm thinking that I'm pretty sure I'm going to love this course. Like, I'm pretty sure we're going to walk away thinking, like, wow, that was probably the most well put together course we've ever played. It looked like there's a lot of water, a lot of well manicured and well put together things. However, I did see another one of those giant Aztec pyramid things that they put the basket on top of.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of that.
I don't know what everybody's obsession is with those. It's stupid.
They look cool though.
They do look cool. I'll give you that.
Very scenic for pictures.
What also I'm thinking, like the prices on the tee times are just
well, that
steep.
we gotta let it be open a little bit and see.
I won't drive in my final opinion. I'm just saying because of how much it costs for a round there. They got to back it up because I don't have any problem paying a premium for a course that I can tell the money is going into that course and like it is it's just like separate
Do y'all
from the
remember
rest.
that course was called like Vision Quest?
No, that never existed.
Okay.
But like I said, I don't have a problem paying a premium.
I'm finding this course.
Okay, fine.
It was hyped up so much back in the day.
I don't have a problem paying a premium for a course so when I feel like the experience is like significantly different than anything else. But like that's you set yourself a harder standard. So we'll see. I think it's gonna be cool though. I'm really.
So what
excited.
do you expect when you like talk about like perfectly manicured, perfectly upkept course? Like what? What is your like? I want tangible expectations.
Okay. Well, number one, all of the tee pad areas. I want benches. Okay, I want really nice tee signs, and I want the tee pads to be perfectly level, perfectly positioned, like where they should be aiming. Like I want that whole area to be spotless. I'm looking for like consistent mowing. Like it needs to be mowed every time it gets even too long. Like this needs to be upkept to where there's not just weird patches of long grass. Like I want it to look like a pretty fairway. I want the brush in the rough areas of the whole. Oh wow, that was a rough patch.
Speaking of rough areas.
Yeah, I want the brush not to be super thick and overgrown. So I want that to be cleared out reasonably. That's really I just don't want it like. I just want to feel like the course is landscaped. Really,
yeah.
Like, I want to feel like when I walk around, like, oh wow, you can tell. A, they put a lot of money into this in the first place, like the T signs, things like that, and B, like. I can tell that it's being upkept consistently. Also, like I'd like to see things. Okay, so you got 1.5 million in this thing. I want to see things like water coolers on the course that are filled daily and like out there at certain points. How about shelter, like little shelters at halfway points during the course that you could take shelter under if it rains, things like that. Like I want to see things like that. You know, I want to see things that I don't see at other disc golf courses. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
That's fair. That is fair.
No, I'm not expecting anything ridiculous. I just want to be like, okay, I can see where this money is going.
Yeah.
And that's fine. As long as that's there, like I don't have a problem charging for disc golf. Like,
yeah.
I love these private courses, I love seeing them going in. I like having the option to play them if you want. Like, that's cool.
So this is fascinating.
We'll
so
see.
Vision Quest, I remember from back
sure
in the
about
day.
this.
I bet I could still find it. I bet it's on YouTube. I just found the course on UDisc, but let me find this video on YouTube that I saw.
It's real.
Yes, it's real. I can't believe y'all haven't seen it.
Yes,
it was
it's
like
real. I feel like I've heard it.
I'm pretty sure there was like a
Where was
big.
it?
It's in
Florida?
Minnesota.
Minnesota. No, I'm thinking of New World.
I'm pretty sure there's this. I'm pretty sure there's like a skins match. Like I feel like they did a very similar thing to launch it. Yeah, Vision Quest skins. Paul Macbeth, Ricky Wysocki, Alex Geisinger, Nate Sexton. 5 years ago, Drew Gibson.
Whatever happened.
Matt Dollar. Y'all saw this video.
Probably.
165,000 views 5 years ago on the Disc Golf Guys channel.
I probably saw it.
Yeah, it was super hyped up. That's how they opened it. So Paul, Ricky, Alex Geisinger, Nate Sexton, Drew Gibson, Matt Dollar. Like, come on. Y'all saw that.
Come on. I probably did.
Anyways.
I haven't seen a lot of Alex
So it
Geisinger
opened,
stuff,
and like
so.
everyone was talking about. Let me just read the comments here. Everyone I remember on like Reddit and all this stuff was talking about how incredible this course was.
Well, people are losing their mind over Eagles Crossing.
Well, yeah, but that's what I feel like. That's what this course was a little while ago. All the recent reviews talk about like tee pads not cleared up, no upkeep. Could be amazing with a little TLC. Decent layout, some unique holes, but major upkeep needed. The property's extremely run down.
Right.
Don't waste your time with this course. Docks are
Yeah.
broken and sitting in water. There's a giant mound of dirt on 14 with blue ribbon pines down the road. This course just isn't worth it.
That's the thing. When you're not on a public park kind of property,
Well,
like
it's $5 to
you
play.
need either volunteers or staff. You know what? Honestly, here's really the model. Here, maybe this is the model for.
Because there's even like in the description of the course, Vision Quest will be open to the public starting July 1st, 2016. A beautifully manicured course with spectacular attention to detail and lots of variety.
Yeah.
Like I remember in my head, Eagles Crossing is the Vision Quest of 2022.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Is it a Firefest? We're gonna find out.
Fine. I guess we'll find out in a few years.
I'm wondering if, because like it is tough to maintain a property, and even when you're charging, like it's tough to do a staff. I think this is what you got to do. You put in one of these private courses in an area with a super active club full of like volunteers, and you give all the club members who show up to work on the course, you give them free tee times. So you're still getting some money from the public to put into the course, but then a lot of the upkeep can be done by volunteers from the club who get to use that course as their home course and play on it for free.
Yeah, that's what I'm also interested with
You
Eagles
gotta-
Crossing.
I
Is
think
it's
that's
like,
what you got to do. You got to center it around the people that want to work on the disc golf course.
yeah,
already.
no, that makes a lot of sense. Because Eagles Crossing 2, it's an hour and a half, 10 minutes, I think, outside of St. Louis. So I'm curious, like, what the disc golf scene is out there.
Right, yeah.
Like, is it
I'm
like a super
fascinated,
populated
yeah.
area? I don't know. I don't freaking care, to be honest
mean,
with
we're
you,
gonna-
because I just want to see how this course has been
We're gonna see it at
talked
its
about
best.
so many times, and we're going to see it like the day after it opens.
Right, we're gonna
at
see it
its
at its
pure
best.
peak. And I am extremely excited for that. So all in all, very excited for this trip that we're on. Probably about 5 hours left in it now, maybe less.
Light work, really.
And yeah, we'll get to see Gateway tonight, Eagles Crossing on Wednesday. We'll get to see some local parks tomorrow just for some videos, and then a battle tomorrow afternoon against some guys from Gateway. Possibility of Nico's brother playing us, so that's exciting. We'll have that confirmed here soon. And yeah, really excited about that. I think that just about wraps up this episode. If you're watching on video, hopefully Konner found a way to stabilize it, because the camera that I'm watching is shaking all over the place.
I'm not going to stabilize it.
What?
I'm not going to stabilize it.
All right.
Do you know how
Dude,
hard?
he's not even gonna
Do
try.
you know how hard it would be on a
That's-
computer to try to stabilize an hour-long clip of video?
I don't know, man.
No.
All right. Well, if you made it
Answer's
this
very hard.
if you made it this far watching
throw
the
a LUT on
video,
it.
thank you. But hopefully you just listen to the audio, because the audio shouldn't be shaky.
You're gonna want to watch the video because there's a lot of Hunter Thomas inner thigh going on.
Hey, dude, come on now. I was trying my best, but by the end,
If you're
fully.
watching the video, just glance at it every once in a while.
I am
don't stare at it.
I am fully reclined in
And
the
don't-
back seat of a GMC Yukon.
Don't look at the corners of the screen. That's where you really see the shit.
Which, if you're wondering why are we in a GMC Yukon,
yeah.
it's because
Dude, we are in a Yukon XL
Yeah.
V8 4-wheel drive. It's sick.
V8 sometimes V4.
It still has 8 cylinders.
It has 8 cylinders, but it doesn't always use them.
It's got
Technology, man. I'm a car guy. But we
Big
showed
car
up.
guy.
We paid to rent a Nissan Rogue, and we showed up, and the person at Hertz was like, "Hey,
Gave it
really
away.
sorry, we don't have a Rogue that's clean, but
That's crazy.
you can either wait for us to clean one, or for $10 we can upgrade you to a full size SUV." And I said, "I don't care what we drive. $10 is fine. Let's just
That
pay
is
that."
wild in though, because
And then she walked us outside and was like, "Here's the 3." And we were like, I said, "I really don't care. Put us in whichever one." She goes, "All right, this one it is." And then we walked back
She
out.
gave
I'm
us-
like, she gave us a tank.
she gave us the meanest one on the lot. We are 2 for 2. We are 2 for 2 on these trips of picking really awesome cars. One
this
was
has
yellow. This one is just tough.
This has made this road trip fly by, in my opinion.
Oh, it's really nice.
I drove
This
5.5
once I found this heat cooler, this seat cooler. I mean, it's changed my life. I feel incredible.
I drove 5.5 hours, and you could have told me I drove to Richmond,
Yeah,
which is 2
you
hours
have
away.
to admit, like, I was definitely the one carrying the idea of the road trip, but we are well into this trip now, and this is not bad at all.
No.
Well, the endurance of our bodies is not bad, but it is a huge. It is wasting a lot of time driving.
No, not really.
Not really, though.
When you
It
look
wasn't-
at
yeah,
the
when
flight
when
schedules,
the flights we were going to have to
that's
take,
why
though,
we drove. They
yeah.
sucked. There were so many
We were-
layovers. And
we would have still been getting into town at the same time, and we would have
left like
we would have had
2
to
or
get
3
back
hours
a day
later,
later.
but we would have came back a whole day later.
And we
for
would have
no reason.
layovers. We had to fly like into New York. We would have spent.
It would have been in New York for like 3 hours, or we would have spent 13 hours in
dude.
Charlotte.
Driving was always the move.
Driving was the move.
It was
for this
always
one.
the Yukon.
And realistically, the rest of them, minus Florida, are like only 6 or 7 hours away.
yeah.
So we'll definitely drive those.
Yeah. Well,
That's
the
not
only
even worth
other
flying.
longish
Florida
one,
will fly.
The only other longish one is the
Oh,
Ohio one. That's
and
the one
no,
that
Massachusetts. Ohio's
Oh.
only like 7 hours. We already passed it. Where
we're.
we'd be.
Yeah, we could definitely drive that. So it's just Massachusetts.
It's just Massachusetts. Massachusetts and Florida. We'll have to figure out if we're road tripping those. Although Massachusetts, I'm pretty sure Nick said it's only like 8 hours. Which, if that's the
yeah,
case,
that might be right
makes
because
sense.
it takes me like 5 to get to like Hershey type area in Pennsylvania.
If it's only 8 hours, I mean,
I don't know. I don't know how long it takes to get to Massachusetts from
We might have
Pennsylvania.
to send it.
We might. I mean, I feel like we're pretty good at this whole road trip thing.
I
At
mean,
this
we are
point.
only a little. We are like 75% into day one.
Yeah, but like,
So-
there's only one more day of this. Like, we only got to do this twice, and like, I'm good to go. We're gonna like we didn't even have our morale boost yet. We're 30 minutes away from this disc golf store. We're gonna go
Yeah.
in there, just morale through the window, stretch our legs, and then one more stretch.
And then
And we're going to Gateway.
And then we're going to Gateway.
That's what I'm saying.
All
Like,
right.
Come
Well,
on.
that's
Are you
that
kidding
wraps
me?
up the
We
podcast.
are so good at this.
We got to vlog a little bit. If you want to check out the vlog, be sure to check out the Heiser Club, patreon.com/Foundation
my
Disc
face.
Golf. Thanks
Get out
again
my
so much
face.
for tuning in. We'll be back
Get it out of my
on our
face.
way back home with the preview show of the Dynamic Discs Open, which is happening this weekend. Also, we'll have a Bogey Bro banter episode in the dark. It's
Like
going to be
Nick at
electric.
night.
It's going to be electric. You're not going to miss it. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you later.
Love you. Bye.